What's going on, guys? It's Zach here, bringing you guys another fantasy football video. And so I'm going to be kind of mixing it up a little bit, just taking a step back from player analysis, draft prep, and just sort of giving you guys 5 rule suggestions that I would recommend you guys take a look at and consider for your leagues this season that I think just sort of help make fantasy football more fun. I'm the league commissioner in a couple of the leagues that I manage, and I found that a couple of these rule changes really help add some fun, mix things up in the league, and just really help keep league members engaged. And I just found that I've really enjoyed them, so I thought I'd share them with you. So yeah, I won't really blabber on about it too much. Let's just get into the first one. So my number one suggestion that I would make to anybody looking to make the fantasy league more fun, and I would recommend this above anything else, is that you switch your draft to an auction draft rather than the stereotypical snake draft. Auction drafts are just a blast. They require that all league members really do have to pay attention throughout the entire course of the draft. It makes the draft far more engaging. It's not like you can make your pick and you're at the turn and now you get to wait 24 picks before your next picks. Then you can get up, take a snack, or get a snack, all that. You can't do that in an auction draft. You've got to be engaged the entire time. It makes it a lot more fun. On top of that, every single player is available to every single team in the league. That makes things a lot more interesting as well because you can't really complain about any sort of bad luck with your draft order. You are responsible for how your team ends up, and that makes this a lot more fun. It requires a lot more draft prep, and it really rewards those people that put the time and effort into preparing for their drafts. On top of that, there's also just really fun banter in these auction drafts. You often see there will be a couple players that there are several league members that are just really high on, and you'll get in some really crazy bidding wars. It's really fun seeing a guy that's maybe supposed to go for $20 often get bid up to $40 just because there's a couple league members that are super stoked about that player, and it's fun to see just how that really plays out. There's just a lot more unpredictability in auction drafts. It really makes it a lot more fun. On top of that, the draft actually lasts quite a bit longer, and I know a lot of people view that as a negative, but I don't really understand that. I don't know why you would want your one draft night a year to be shorter than it needs to be. Draft night's supposed to be a blast. Make a party out of it. Make it last as long as you can and really just enjoy that night because it only comes once a year and it's a lot of fun. So I do highly recommend that you guys switch to auction drafts. They're a lot of fun, and I also put out a lot of auction content over the course of the off season as well. So if you do switch to an auction draft, feel free to take a look at that content, see if I can help you out as well. Up next, another rule change that I'd recommend is that the final playoff spot in your league goes to the highest scoring team that would have otherwise not made the playoffs. I recently made the switch in my home league, which I'm the commissioner in. We currently have 12 teams in 4 divisions, so in that format we have 4 division winners that make the playoffs. One team that makes it in just off their record, so the highest record remaining with points over the course of the season being the tiebreaker, and then the final 6 seed goes to the team that scored the most points over the course of the season regardless of their records. You could have a team that went 3-11 but just got really unlucky with their matchups, and if they had the most points left out of anybody that wasn't going to make the playoffs, they'd be in. And I find that this is actually a lot more fun. It removes a lot of the potential for bad luck to occur over the course of the season. I've had many seasons myself where I've been like the first or second highest scoring team and ended up around 500 and missed the playoffs, and it just removes that bad luck element. Obviously, some of the bad luck is part of what makes fantasy fun, but I also think that in general, the highest scoring teams really do deserve to make the playoffs. It also helps keep league members engaged throughout the entire course of the season. A team could be 2-8, but maybe they're only 100 points back of that 6th seed. Maybe they can just string together a couple really good weeks and squeak their way into the playoffs, even though their record wouldn't have otherwise done it. So it really helps incentivize the players just to stay active, really work on keeping their teams good, because you never know. You're only 1 or 2 really high-end blow-up weeks away from being right back into the thick of things. So it helps keep things interesting, and it really just does remove that bad luck element as well. The next rule suggestion that I would make is that you switch from a waiver wire system to a FAAB system. Rather than a waiver order that's decided based off of the stereotypical inverse of the standings after each week, each team receives 100 free agent dollars. Obviously, this is an arbitrary number. You could assign however many free agent dollars as you like, and that's their budget over the entire course of the season for their acquisition on free agency or waivers. This also adds a lot more strategy to the waiver system rather than just being the person that's able to pick up a player when it's your turn to. On the waiver order, you have to spend the night before spending a great deal of time thinking about how much you want to spend on your players, try and understand how much the other players in your league are going to be looking to bid so you don't overpay for players, figure out whether or not it's worth it for you to even put $1 on guys. It just adds a lot more nuance to the waiver system, and again, it's just one extra thing to think about, really one extra thing to just sort of mix things up on. Another thing I like about it is it doesn't punish teams for winning really early in the season. Often we find that the best waiver wire adds over the course of the season are the guys that just break out after week 1, because those are guys that maybe had some roles that were unexpected coming into the season. And when you win in week 1 in a standard waiver order system, you just aren't able to grab those guys. You're effectively being punished for having won week 1. Obviously, it was still better to win in week 1 with that system, but it doesn't make sense to me to punish players for winning. I would certainly prefer that everybody be on an even playing field, and I find that the FAAB system allows that. So I highly recommend doing that. I've switched to that in most of the leagues, or any league that I'm the commissioner in. I just found that it's a lot more fun, a lot more engaging, and I really haven't had any complaints from any of my league members as well. This next one's a little different. It's that I would like to recommend that the top seed gets to pick their opponent in the playoffs. In most leagues, 6 teams make the playoffs, with the top 2 seeds receiving a bye, and then the remaining 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th seeds playing it out in the divisional round. In this circumstance, the 3 seed would get to pick between the 5 and the 6 seed for their opponent, and then in the following round, the 1 seed would be allowed to pick between the 2 remaining lowest seeds for their opponent, and then obviously there would be no selection required for the championship round. This just adds a little bit more nuance to the fantasy playoffs. It also adds a bit of a rivalry matchup because the team that gets selected as an opponent is obviously going to feel disrespected. It adds a little bit of banter. It makes it really fun. And it's obviously a stressful decision for the person making that selection. I just found that it's a lot of fun. It's one extra benefit being a higher seed between that 3 and 4 seed. Gives you that ability to pick your opponent and really makes that incentive for the teams to be as high a seed as possible, even if they're not going to get that bye. So it's just a fun little thing. It doesn't have a huge impact on the season at all. It honestly very rarely matters, but it's just sort of one little extra wrinkle to throw into things that I think has been a lot of fun for me in my leagues. And the 5th rule change that I would recommend you guys use is that you utilize a team quarterback position. Given how many points the quarterback position scores on a weekly basis, if your starting quarterback is injured early on in a game, your entire fantasy week's over. You're probably going to lose. You're missing out on 20 to 30 fantasy points that your opponent's going to get, and it's just really hard to make that up. With this rule change, we utilize a team quarterback position. If your starting quarterback were to go down early in the game, you would receive points for any performance that backup quarterback contributed over the course of the game after that. This just makes the most sense because obviously if the quarterback is hurt for a team in the NFL, it's not like the team just has to play without a quarterback. They get to throw in a backup quarterback, and it just makes the most sense, especially given that this is a onesie position. It's not like a running back position where there are often multiple running backs already in play. The quarterback position makes the most sense to do this for, and it just removes, again, that little bit of bad luck element. I've had many seasons where I've got a player that gets injured earlier on in the playoff game, and your season's over, and there's really nothing you could do about it. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just you had a player get hurt early in a game, and you're going to get a 0 from them. So I at least tend to recommend doing this for playoff matchups. I find that, in general, once you get into the playoffs, you really do want the teams that are the best to win, or at least not have any sort of brutal luck involved. It just makes it a bit more fair, removes that bad luck element, and also just helps really make sure that the teams that do the best and have the best teams are going to be rewarded for that. So it's not exactly something it's not a hill I'd die on with this rule, but it's one that I found to be a little bit more fair. I think in a lot of more competitive leagues it makes the most sense, and especially in the leagues with high buy-ins or really high stakes, I would highly recommend utilizing this just to make it a bit more fair and remove some of that bad luck element for the things. So that'll do it for this video. This is a pretty quick one. Just wanted to share some rule changes I've made in my leagues that I found have made fantasy football a lot more fun for me and my league mates. It's been something that I really try and do that every single year. Every single year as a league manager, I send out a survey suggesting different rule changes and really take everyone's feedback into account. I'd highly recommend that you do that as well if you're a league commissioner. It really just helps make sure that everybody in the league feels like they have a voice and really helps evolve the league to cater to everyone's desires over the course of its lifetime. It's really fun to get those leagues that are dragged out for 10 years even more and really just get get a bit of a consistency thing going, make it more traditional, make everything the way people like it, and it's just a lot more fun to really dig into those sort of maybe a little bit quirky rules, but rules that I find that are a lot more fun. So yeah, this was a little bit different video for us. Let me know if you liked it. If you did like it, I'm happy to do more videos like this. I'll obviously be getting right back to more draft prep. Up next, I've got mock auction draft on Sleeper per request by some of you guys in the comments. After that, I'll get into some more player analysis as well, and I'll cover some more auction stuff as well because you guys have been really asking for that. So if this is your first time on the channel, thank you so much for stopping by. I'd highly recommend that you subscribe to the channel if you want to win your league this season. If you want more content like this, we're going to be putting out videos every single day throughout the course of the off season, and we'll be putting out several a week during the course of the regular season as well. So if you want to stick with me and let me help you win your league, do subscribe. If you like the video, which I hope you did because you made it this far, please do click the thumbs up button on the video. It really helps with the algorithm, really helps me know that I'm doing a good job, helps everyone else know that these videos are good, and brings the channel more engagement as well. So thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you next time. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteeleFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.